Well, first of all, good evening. It's good to be with you. Thank you, Raj, for that introduction, also for your extraordinary leadership. You know, I've been thinking about what I was going to tell you today. I regret that I wasn't able to join the conference that you had celebrating this just amazing 50th anniversary. Turns out I was in New York on some business and I couldn't get back till this afternoon. As some of you have heard, we have our Parents' Weekend, which means we have all the parents and the students and so on campus. But it's good to be with you. Let me start. I really have two goals, and I stand between you and dinner, so I get this, so I'm going to try to be brief. I have two goals. One is, first of all, to tell you how delighted I am to have the opportunity to welcome you, those of you who are members of our community here in Pittsburgh, but also all of you who have come back to Carnegie Mellon for this celebration. That's goal number one. The second goal is, Raj doesn't know this, I want to take a few minutes also to honor Raj for everything. You can't say no, I'm the president. I know I'm a computer science faculty, but I get to do what I want now. First of all, let me thank everybody for being here for this celebration of, you know, the work that's been done by all of you, the work that's been done over the past 50 years in the area of AI, of course, speech recognition, and the impact that your work has had on the field. Obviously, we're honored to be able to host this 50th anniversary symposium of the beginning of speech understanding, and I want to congratulate researchers, organizers that are responsible for its success over the years, including Raj Reddy, Lee Ehrman, and Vic Lasser, and Rick Roth, whom I just met, and the rest of you. It is, and in fact, Raj and I'm going to go off script now. Raj and I had the pleasure of meeting Lee and Vic and Rick, and I just realized, in fact, there were so many connections, although I've been at Carnegie Mellon for only 8 years, so many connections I had with these giants in our field because of my own work at University of Michigan before coming here. I do want to extend a warm welcome, of course, to Raj's family and friends, especially the favorite person is Raj's family, Anu, who's here. Thank you for joining us. The person who makes Raj look good all the time. And Anu has been a dedicated member of Carnegie Mellon family for more than 50 years, and we appreciate her, and my wife sends her regards to your family. I do want to acknowledge two of our keynote speakers for tonight. I know that you've had a fabulous event today, but I do want to take a moment to acknowledge, because after dinner you're going to hear from them, our own Bill Shirless, professor of computer science and former director of course, CMU's ISR, and who has just returned from his service at DARPA back to Carnegie Mellon. Bill and I have been friends for many, many years. Bill, the only thing I was going to say is thank you for your service to our community and to our country. Thank you. Also, I want to acknowledge another friend, Vin Cerf, who is, of course, as you know, Vice President and Chief Internet Evangelist at Google, and of course, known as the father of the internet. I had the pleasure of working with Vint during my tenure at the National Science Foundation, heading the Computer Science Directorate during the Obama administration, the glory years where we were investing in research and education in the future of the country. We did a lot of mischiefs together, caused a lot of trouble. Vint, thank you very much for joining us. Happy to have you here. You're going to hear from Vint and Bill, and they're going to be far more interesting about things they're going to talk about. This is indeed the first part of what I want to tell you. It's such a distinguished gathering. Every one of you deserves acknowledgement for your contributions to the field, all the way from early speech pioneering research you have done to those who've have done some of the more recent work here and other places. I don't want to bore you with all the things that you talked about, but as a computer scientist and now a fellow colleague at Carnegie Mellon, it gives me tremendous pleasure and joy to welcome you and acknowledge the work that you have done. I do want to acknowledge one other person in here, and I promise that would be the last person that I'm going to acknowledge, is Marshall Hebert. Marshall Hebert is our Dean of School of Computer Science, a long-term faculty in our robotics college, but also a member of our leadership team, and he has been a wonderful partner in advancing the mission of the university. Marshall, stand to be recognized. You know, while we have some of the greatest minds in our field here talking about the past and your successes and so on, I did say this without, any exaggeration. I was mentioning this, in fact, to Raj and Vic and Lee and so on, is that I was in a bunch of different events welcoming parents, but when I was leaving our house, I told my wife, this is not going to be work for me because I'm going to be with a bunch of other computer scientists and just going to talk to them and enjoy the evening, and this is indeed turning out to be. A couple of thoughts I want to share with you before we go to dinner. We are, as technologists and as scientists, we're united by a deep understanding of the profound and unprecedented technological advances that are transforming our economy, they're transforming our society and our culture. As you have heard today, Carnegie Mellon, and I said this just a few minutes ago to another group, and in particular our School of Computer Science, has played a disproportionate pioneering role in bringing about the digital revolution, in defining our field, in its impact on society. There's no question, and I say this with a great deal of pride, not taking credit for it, great deal of pride, and not just because I'm president of this magnificent university. It's because this is what Carnegie Mellon has done for the past 50 years. It's defined the field, it's impacted society, and it's brought the rest of the world along. And this is really the legacy of Carnegie Mellon over the past 5+ decades. And now I get to embarrass Raj. And there's really no one at CMU today who has been more influential in his research, in his academic contributions, and his leadership while serving as the head of robotics and, of course, as Dean of Computer Science, or School of Computer Science, than Raj Reddy. Raj is a living legend. I don't need to tell you that. Many of you worked with Raj over the years, who has had a front row seat to our technology-enabled future, as has Vint, of course. He has catalyzed significant advances in robotics, speech recognition, and AI. Of course, you know the history. Working with Newell, Perlis, and Simon, Raj was instrumental in creating CMU's computer science department more than 50 years ago. And of course, he played an instrumental role in the College of Computing, or School of Computing, and of course, the first college in the world devoted to computer science, and of course, the Robotics Institute. You've heard a lot about a lot of things that Raj has done, I'm sure, over the years, and certainly at today's event. But I do want to remind you of a history that the first significant AI gathering happened at Dartmouth College in 1956, where a number of our colleagues, Alan Newell and Herb Simon, in fact, the namesake of this building, were present. There were early partners in computer science at CMU with Perlis, Newell, Simon, and Perlis, of course. And in 1969, they had this amazing wisdom to recruit this young fellow from Stanford to come be a member of our faculty at Carnegie Mellon. I just want to tell you that I was 7 years old at that point. I was not here. Just want to, I'm sharing a history, but I just want to make sure that I don't mislead you. They recruited him. In fact, this was some of the early, there's some early black and white photos of Raj at an oscilloscope. I don't know if you showed that today. We should have shown it. Working, this is what I mean by marketing, working intently to understand the patterns of human speech. Raj is never going to invite me to another event to talk anymore. I know this for a fact. And then 50 years ago, in the spring of 1972, of course, Raj and his team Lee, Vic, and others pulled off the challenge of developing a working speech understanding system, which I know you've talked about earlier today. They showed the plausibility, just imagine 50 years ago, of a large vocabulary connected speech understanding system. This is just incredible that they were able to do this 50 years ago. This was pretty freaking huge, and we now understand the impact of that. Everyone in this room has one of these cell phones or smartphones with you, and you all know that there are pieces of this technology that are descendants of a lot of the work that was actually done at Carnegie Mellon, and which demonstrated many of the core principles that are so widespread today, and it has led the digital revolution. Today's event, P2Q4 Symposium, and of course the Raj Reddy AI lecture and the panel that ensued it, showcased, I hope, this transformational research that you all have done and the inventions that have come from it. On a personal note, I want to tell you that this last year, some of you know this because you've played a role in this, because of Raj's contribution to our field, to society, and also to Carnegie Mellon, I had the honor of conferring an honorary degree of Doctor of Science and Technology to Raj at Carnegie Mellon. Not that Raj needed more degrees, trust me on this. But there's an important point here to share. We rarely honor our faculty while they're still on the faculty with an honorary degree. It just doesn't happen. And Vint knows this. Look, those of you who are academics know this. I think the last person that received this was Herb Simon. So that just shows you, it's been a few years. And conferring the honorary degree to sitting faculty is extremely rare, but it also demonstrates how much Raj done throughout his career to impact Carnegie Mellon and beyond. I have to tell you this, and I'm going to tear up saying this, it was, for me, a personal privilege to be the one to confer that degree as president of this institution. So it was an honor to do this. I can spend many, many more minutes standing between you and dinner talking about this. But there's one other thing that I got to tell you as a faculty member, which is the legacy of Raj in terms of research and inventions and impact on society and so on is one thing. But actually, there are a number of you in here that are a legacy of Raj's work. It's the work that we do as faculty member. In some ways, the most important work that we do as faculty member is we educate the next generation of scientists, engineers, humanists, artists, and so on. And Raj, as you know, has an amazing legacy of that. I want to acknowledge that because while we talk about what happened 50 years ago in terms of the work that you have done, and by the way, decade after decade of work that a number of you in this room have done to advance speech recognition, I can't underestimate the impact of Raj's work as a member of the faculty in educating the next generation, many of you in this room and beyond. It would be hard to overstate how much Raj's spirit, leadership, and contributions have enhanced CMU's leadership and inspired a virtual family tree of computer scientists, roboticists, and so on and beyond. He has a legacy at this institution, which, by the way, is continuing. And I truly believe that in some ways we're all at CMU Raj's students. Before we go to dinner, I want to just take a quick second, propose a toast. If you can join me. If you don't have a drink, grab one. It's going to be a real simple toast. If you please stand. Raj, for your work, for bringing us all together, and for this endless inspiration, here's to you, Raj. Cheers.